Welcome to our channel, dedicated to addressing your most pressing home-related questions. Today, we tackle the question, can an unregistered car be parked on private property? This may seem like a simple question, but it's one that is influenced by various factors. These include the laws of your state, the regulations of your county and town, and even the rules set by your homeowners association. It's worth noting that homeowners association rules are not legal regulations, but private agreements. Each of these factors can have a significant impact on whether or not you can park an unregistered car on your property. Keep watching as we dive into the details of this intriguing subject. Now you might be thinking, but it's private property. I should be able to park wherever I want. Well, it's not always that simple. Every state has its own set of rules and regulations when it comes to parking unregistered cars. This can be a bit of a maze to navigate, but we're here to help shed some light. For starters, it's important to understand that most states are quite clear on one point. They do not allow the parking of unregistered cars on public streets. This is a fairly standard rule across the board. However, when it comes to private property, things can get a bit more nuanced. In many states, you can park an unregistered car on your own property, as long as it's out of sight. This could mean tucking it away in your garage or behind a fence, for instance. The idea here is to keep the vehicle from becoming an eyesore or a potential hazard. Now, it's worth noting that some states take a harder line on this issue. They have strict rules about parking unregistered cars, even on private property. For example, in California, the laws are quite stringent. Unregistered vehicles are often required to be stored in a garage or similarly enclosed space, even on private property. This is part of California's broader effort to maintain neighborhood aesthetics and safety. Moving over to the East Coast, in New Jersey, the enforcement is equally strict. Local ordinances can impose fines for parking unregistered cars in visible areas, even on your own driveway. So, as you can see, the question of where you can park your unregistered car isn't as simple as it might first appear. It's a bit of a patchwork quilt of regulations, with each state, and sometimes even individual cities, having their own specific rules. But the key takeaway here is this: if you're thinking about parking an unregistered car, whether it's on public streets or private property, it's crucial to make sure you're familiar with the specific laws in your area. You don't want to end up with a hefty fine or a towed car because you weren't aware of the regulations. So it's clear that state laws play a significant role in determining where you can park your unregistered car. It's always best to stay informed and check with your local authorities to avoid any unwelcome surprises. As mentioned, while state laws are important, county and town regulations can also impact where you can park your unregistered car. These local laws frequently have a significant influence on the decisions you can make about your unregistered vehicle. In certain counties, you might find that there are specific rules about the storage of unregistered vehicles. These counties may require such vehicles to be kept out of sight, often in enclosed spaces like garages. This rule is not universal, however, and can vary from one county to another. It's always a good idea to familiarize yourself with your local regulations to avoid any potential issues. Parking an unregistered car in a public area might seem like a simple solution, but it can come with serious consequences. When you leave an unregistered vehicle parked in a public area, local laws may classify it as abandoned. This classification often depends on how long the vehicle remains parked in the same location. Different areas have varying timeframes after which a stationary, unregistered vehicle might be deemed abandoned. This perception can lead to your car being towed away by local authorities. Now, if your car gets towed, it's not just a matter of going and picking it up. There are fines to be paid and impound fees to consider. These costs can add up quickly, turning what might have seemed like a convenient parking spot into a costly headache. But that's not the end of it. In many cases, you'll also be required to provide proof of registration and insurance to retrieve your vehicle from the impound lot. If your vehicle was unregistered to begin with, these requirements could complicate matters further, adding more delays and possibly additional costs to the process. In a nutshell, what might seem like a simple and convenient solution could turn into a complex and expensive problem. So, it's wise to think twice before parking your unregistered car in a public area. So, can an unregistered car be parked on private property? The answer, as we've learned, depends on a variety of factors. It's a mixed bag, really, from state laws to county regulations, and even specific rules imposed by homeowners associations. The legality of parking an unregistered car on private property can be quite complex. Let's revisit some key points we've covered. Most states don't allow unregistered cars on public streets, but they may be parked on private property, provided they're kept out of sight. Some counties take it a step further, requiring these vehicles to be stored in enclosed spaces like garages. And if you're thinking of parking an unregistered car in a public area, be prepared for the likelihood of it being towed, considered as an abandoned vehicle with fines and impound fees waiting for you. Navigating these rules can be challenging, but it's essential to stay informed. It's always a good idea to consult with your local authorities or legal advisor to understand the specific regulations in your area. After all, it's better to be safe than sorry. Thank you for joining us in exploring this topic. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more informative content.